everybody. Welcome to my cattail. Welcome to Sam Unscripted. Today we're talking about busy. Busy. Whose favorite word is busy? How often are you busy? When people ask you how you are, do you say, "Oh, busy"? Yeah. Let's look into that identity a little bit and see what we can crack open in there. So, welcome to all of you on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, on the daily practicum. Let's do our breathing and center in for a minute. Talk about not being busy for a second. This is a moment to quiet, to center in, to remember that this moment is different from all the other moments. This moment is an opportunity for change. Real change, lasting change. You ready? Let's inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That feels so good. Someday I think I'm just going to spend the entire half hour just doing 4, 7, 8 breathing. See what happens to us. I'm so glad to see you here. Please feel free to type in the comments if you have any questions or thoughts or insights or what the hex or whatever. I was inspired to talk about busyness just because, again, when I talk to people and I say, "How are you?" they'll say, "Busy." And it's such a good answer, right? Because busy makes us sound important, productive, like we're doing things, like we're needed and necessary. And also it tells other people, like, I don't have so much time for you, which is for some people a good warning. Like, I'm gonna have to go. I can't listen to you talk all day. Because some people, if they have your attention, will in fact talk to you all day. And for so many years, busy was my all-time favorite narcotic. Okay, second favorite narcotic, but still in the top 5. Because if I was sufficiently busy, the only feeling I had was tired. Busy kept me distracted from the areas of my life that were unsatisfying, the darker corners of my own mind, the occasional waves of futility that would wash over me and maybe wash over you too. But if you're busy, you don't have time for those thoughts, right? If you're busy, you're, making things, doing things, being productive. And even though we often know it's a treadmill, like we know we're not really getting anywhere, and yet the illusion of progress is addictive. Tony Hsieh, rest his soul, wrote a terrific book called Delivering Happiness. And in it, he defines happiness. And one of the definitions, one of the characteristics of happiness, he says, is progress or perceived progress, which I thought was so insightful of him because it's true. Like, we do feel good when we can notice that we're getting somewhere, but we can also feel good when we just feel like we're getting somewhere. That's why, like, in those lines at Disneyland, at Harry Potter and Universal Studios and whatever, they have you move through these different scenarios and these long snaking lines because you feel like you're getting closer. Every time you hit a new vignette, you're like, oh, we must be getting closer. We must be getting closer. It keeps people calm in line, right? So where are you settling for the illusion of progress? Where are you doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, And then what happens? Same. I recently had a friend call me. She really wanted to like process this thing that had happened at a family event. And she's like, and this is what happened with my father, and this is what happened with his wife, and this is what happened with my sister, and my sister's like this, and she's always like this, and then she showed up and she was like that. And my mother-in-law, or my father's wife, my stepmother, was always this way, and she showed up and she's always this way. And she was so frustrated. And I was like, well, it sort of sounds to me like everything went exactly according to script. Like everybody did exactly what you knew they were going to do. If I had asked you to write out ahead of time, like, how is everybody going to behave? You would have nailed it, because everybody's running their same routines. Those same routines that you run also make you feel busy without actually moving you forward. I want to know if this is resonating for you. Hi, Isabella. Great to see you. I want to know if you're having some feelings, if something is bubbling up for you, if you're feeling like, oh, this is annoying, disturbing. I don't really want to listen to Sam talk about this because this is making me feel kind of busted. Which, that's my job. That's what I'm here for. And oftentimes people are too busy to even become less busy, right? Like, well, I would, make time to work out. I would make more time for my friends. I would make more time for the activities that I love, but I'm just too busy. I'm too busy to even figure out how to get to the place where I could have more time for the things I really care about. That's a good game, right? That's a good game. Here's the thing. You're tired at the end of the day, no matter what. Have you noticed? You're tired at the end of the day, no matter what. Even if you spend the day, lazing on the beach and watching the waves, by the end of the day, you're still tired. So, assuming you're still tired at the end of every day, what do you want to be able to look back on each day and say, not just perceived progress, but actual progress? Not just wishing things were different, but actually working to make things different. Not just hoping that my circumstances change, my finances change, my visibility changes, my relationship changes, but actually taking daily steps to move forward on that transformation. Because sometimes I think we believe that the transition to a more peaceful life, the transition to a life where we can afford to be still, where we can afford to be considered, where we can afford to step back, is going to require some massive cataclysmic event. But it doesn't. It can. But mostly it just takes tiny little adjustments. And even the smallest adjustment can have outsized effects. Right? That's that old analogy about the rocket ship. If you shift the rocket ship's direction by just 1 degree, it goes in a totally different spot than otherwise. But it means giving up your favorite identity, right? If your identity is busy, if your identity is they need me, if your identity is I'm the overachiever, I'm the one who takes care of everybody, I'm the one who takes care of everything, I'm the one who makes the arrangements, I play the eldest daughter, I am the competent one. And you are. I'm not taking that away from you. That is 100% true. The Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, tells us that in any organization, 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work, which means 80% of the people are doing 20% of the work. Which means you can basically fire the bottom 50% of your staff and not notice. 20% of your clients are bringing in 80% of your income. 20% of your clients are bringing in 80% of your income. This means you could fire the bottom 50% of your client list and not really notice in terms of your income, right? We know that we wear 20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time, which means we could probably get rid of at least half our clothes and not really notice. So while I know that you are in that 20% that's doing the work for everybody else, it still doesn't mean that you need to carry the weight of the world for everyone. So what would it mean for you to set down the weight of the world? What are you carrying? What are you staying busy with that you could maybe drop and maybe no one else would even notice? What could you step away from? What could you release? Like, where is it that people are going to be running their scripts and doing the same thing they always do? And you could just say, you know what? I'm out. I love you, and I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not going to show up to this meeting and have the same conversation that we always have. I'm not going to hang out with this friend group and hear the exact same conversation that we've been having for the last 15 years. I'm not going to get into this argument with my spouse or my boss or my coworker or my friend again. I'm going to claim that time for myself. I'm not just going to be busy in the action of arguing, in the action of repetition. I am going to be still. Right? Don't just do something, sit there. Don't just do something, sit there. What happens when you sit there? What are you afraid would happen if you just sat there? What do you think would happen if you just sat there? If you did not get in the middle of things? If you did not rush in to help? If you did not immediately offer to solve the problem? If you didn't solve the problem before it even became a problem? Would dinner still get made? Would people work out their shit themselves? Would your kids figure out between themselves how to settle their disagreements? Maybe. Maybe. But it means you have to give up the narcotic of busy. It means you have to give up the narcotic of being needed, right? Of being essential. Because, none of us are essential. Someday we're just not going to be here anymore. And guess what? World's going to keep turning. People will figure it out without us. They did it before we were born. They're going to do it after we're gone. Kara says everything would fall apart. That's the illusion, right? If I didn't do it, everything will fall apart. And first of all, let's test the theory. Is that true? Second of all, do some of the things that fall apart need to fall apart? Is it actually better if they fall apart? There comes a point where like repairing the old car becomes an exercise in sunk costs, right? Junk the thing, get a new car. Junk the thing, don't have a car at all. Junk the thing, right? So where is your attachment to being needed, to being busy, to being seen to be needed and busy, infringing on you actually leading the life you want to live? Because I talk to people all day long who are like, oh, I really want to write a book. Oh, I really wish I had time to paint. Oh, I would really love to get back to singing. Oh, I would really love to make time for yoga, for prayer, for my friends, for romance, for my sexuality, to paint the living room. I don't know, whatever it is that you really would like to do, that if you did this thing, it would make an actual, measurable, real, and significant difference in your life in a way that running these old routines does not. And yet you can't find a way to get your sticky fingers off your old habits and make space and time for the things that you really want, that matter to you. Because you may have noticed that doing all this stuff for everybody else does not exactly inspire their generosity or their warmth. It's not like everybody says, oh my gosh, Kara's been working so hard, Isabella's been working so hard, Shelley, Beth have been working so hard. We're going to give them a break. No. They say, oh, they're good at doing things. Let's ask them to do more things. Right? Kara says, I think it's partially a control thing. Oh, I think it's 100% a control thing. For sure. Is that control or that illusion of control satisfying enough to make up for all the other things you're not doing? What happens if you just let people find their own way? What happens if you let other people pick up their own rooms, clean up their own messes, strategize and have things fail? I'm curious, what would you do if you weren't so busy? What's something that's, been on your list for a long time, something has been tapping on your shoulder, maybe a creative project, maybe a relationship you'd like to pick back up, an activity, something fun, or just getting more sleep? Most of you are incredibly sleep deprived. I can speak to this very authoritatively because I, as you guys know, I have long haul COVID, which means that my energy reserves are almost nothing, and some days nothing. I just came out of a 5-day crash where I literally could not get out of bed for 5 days. And I should show you the list of things I did not do. I mean, this is some of the paper and projects on my desk. And guess how much progress I made on them? 0. Guess what? Did the world fall apart? No. Did I go broke? No. Did my friends disown me? No. I am astonished at how little I can do and still have a fairly successful life. Now, this is not my first choice. Believe me, if I could do more, I would love to do more. I would love to work out again. I would love to go for a walk. I'd love to go to the farmer's market. I'd love to go thrifting. I'd love to hang out with you. I'd love to do all kinds of things. But in this time in which my body will not allow that, I have been shocked at how much stillness I can find in the day. And if you stop doing these things, Kara says, I'd feel guilty. So guilt is something we associate with a crime, right? It's when we've done something we regret, something we've done to hurt someone else. In our legal system, it's the opposite of innocence. But you are innocent. And this illusion that you staying busy all the time and you trying to control everything is making the world better. It's not true. Amy says, this reminds me of a Frank and Ernest cartoon from decades ago. I like the way you handle responsibility, Edwards, so I'm going to blame some stuff on you. 100%. I remember when I was helping to run a theater company in Los Angeles, and it was volunteer run. I mean, none of us got paid. In fact, all of us paid in to keep the place going. And sometimes we'd get, newer members or people who were, I don't know, whoever they were, and they'd sort of start to bitch like, well, you guys have all the power, the people in charge of the departments have all the power. And we were always like, would you like some of this power? Please, please, please come take some of this power from me. Hand it over. Step aside. Can you find 15 minutes a day for yourself? Will you commit to 15 minutes a day for yourself and to be still or to be engaged in something that actually improves you, not the world, you, maybe also the world, but first you. So I'm talking about stillness. I'm talking about not scrolling, not worrying, not being in traffic, not fiddling with things, not busy work. No, just being with yourself in a way that is meaningful and significant to you, in a way that grows your spirit, that grows your understanding of yourself and the world, that grows your understanding of the things you love to do, of the art, of the crafts, of the stuff, right? Your natural gifts and resources. Amy says, I've been dealing with an asthma exacerbation the past 2 weeks. Oh, babe, I'm so sorry. I've noticed how when I have to be extremely choosy about when I use my voice, even the things I would have liked to have said are fine left unsaid. And last night, when I finally began feeling better, I sat for several minutes appreciating being able to breathe without coughing. Yes, being with yourself. Kara says 15 minutes a day. Isn't that what washroom breaks are for? Right? This is a terrible thing that jobs have done for us, is like that the only private quiet time you get is when you go to the washroom. No, you deserve to be able to put a sign up on your door that says genius at work, 15 minutes, reach me at 1:15, not available, turn off the ringer, turn off the text alerts, turn off all the alerts, by the way. If you've got anything that pings, turn it off. You don't need that kind of business in your life. So we've got the daily practicum, which is a 15-minute gathering on Zoom every weekday, 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. We just finished it here, 5:15 British summertime, or 5 to 5:15. And it's exactly what it sounds like it is. We just get onto the Zoom, wave at each other, put our heads down, work for 15 minutes, and then go, what did you do? This was great. Congratulations. It is a small but mighty group of people changing the world. How much could you accomplish if you spent 15 minutes a day on something that mattered to you? And what if you had a group of people that you knew were waiting on you to show up for that? What if you were able to see the progress of that every day for a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 10 years, 60 years? 15 minutes a day where you could actually change things. 15 minutes a day of stillness, right? So many people's favorite Bible verse is from Psalms, right? Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. That God is us, that God is the world, God is reality. And you can argue with reality and you will lose 100% of the time. A little Byron Katieism, right? And every religion or philosophy has some statement like this, right? I did a quick Google search, right? That in Islam, in Buddhism, every philosophical stance says, shh, quiet the mind, quiet the chatter. Be in this moment. Be attuned to this moment. Be you in this moment. When you get to the end of your days, are you going to say, oh, I'm so glad I did all those dishes? I'm so glad I ran around like a maniac doing all those errands? No. You're going to say, I'm so glad I stopped and enjoyed those flowers that were blooming. I'm so glad I pulled over during the sunset and watched it. I'm so glad I sat in silence with my own self, in my own grief, in my own amazement, in my own wonder of the world. When I look back on my life, like a lot of people, I don't have a great memory. I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood. But the memories I do have are moments, are slivers like that, of noticing a stone. I have this stone on my desk. There's nothing particularly special about it, except that I picked it up to remind me to be still. Beth says, busy is an ego game. Boom! Boom, motherfuckers. Busy is an ego game. If you're a writer downer, that is a writer downer. Thank you, Beth. Busy is an ego game. I've committed to daily meditation, and it's become crystal clear that my ego mind is very, very, very busy and hates getting lost in the stillness. Yeah. Amy says, a day hemmed in prayer is less likely to unravel. Yes. A day hemmed in prayer is less likely to unravel. The ego mind hates getting lost in the stillness. But y'all are bigger than that. You're smarter than that. You're more spiritually evolved than that. You're not going to fall for that old trick, right? Kamala says, I've been loving listening to this wonderful mockingbird chirping almost nonstop in the early morning. She makes my heart so happy. I used to be too busy to listen. Yeah. Yeah. What does the mockingbird have to say to you? So I want to double dog dare us for a second to do 1 whole minute of being still. Don't clock off. Oh, she's just going to do a minute of stillness. No, do it with me. See what happens. You can close your eyes or not close your eyes, but you're not going to make notes. You're not going to do anything except be here now. You ready? All right, I'm starting the timer. Be still and know that the divine is the divine. That's it. That was a minute. Remarkably long, wasn't it? Did you feel a little dog paddling panic of like, but? I kind of did. I was like, oh, here I am live on social media and I'm not doing anything. We were like 50 seconds in before my shoulders remembered to drop down. Amy says the still minute made me want to take a nap. Yeah, there's a good chance you're a lot more tired than you're letting yourself know that you are. That you've gotten used to running on empty. So this is my invitation. Don't just do something. Sit there. Stand out of the way. Let the divine do what the divine is going to do. Let other people do what they're going to do. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is giving in. Surrender is saying yes to reality. And you can say yes to yourself and to your own dreams, and to your own desires, because ultimately, you're the only one in here. And other people's happiness is not making you happy. And in fact, your thinking that your busyness is making other people happy is an illusion, because we don't really have the ability to make other people happy. If only we did, right? Shelley says, yes, you can say quite a bit in 3 minutes. Oh, Amy says, one of the first public speeches I ever gave was limited to 3 minutes, an incredibly long time. And Shelley says, yes, you can say quite a bit in 3 minutes. Yeah. Katie says, I started to think of some amazing coincidences that have happened lately. Then I started running through my to-do list and had to bring myself back to being still. Right. So incredible discipline. 1 minute. Start with 1 minute. Start with 15 minutes. Start with an hour. Start with a morning. Start with a whole day. Start with a whole weekend. Start with a week. Start with a month. Set down the crack pipe of busy and start to experience your actual life. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Let's do one more breath to close out this circle, and I will see you next Thursday. Let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you, everybody. Like and follow. Tell your friends. I can't do this by myself. And now let's go be still.